Burke. Suspect is now behind bars tonight.
Burke County deputies say this happened just before 6 o'clock Sunday morning at a home in Keysville. There, investigators found the body of 30-year-old Telvin Osborne, who was later pronounced dead from a gunshot wound to the chest.
February 23rd, 2025, 5:45 in the morning. A 911 call comes in from a home in Keysville, Burke County, Georgia. A woman's voice, shaking, panicked. "I accidentally shot my boyfriend. The gun was stuck in the chamber, and I accidentally pulled the trigger. I didn't mean to. I'm so sorry." Telvin Osborne, 30 years old, father of 4 children, was lying in the master bedroom with a gunshot wound to his chest. By the time help arrived, it was too late. He died at the hospital. But here's where things get complicated. And I mean really complicated. If you're enjoying this deep dive into one of the most controversial cases of 2025, do me a favor right now. Hit that like button. Drop a comment with your thoughts. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this story. And subscribe to My Story Crime. Click that bell icon so you never miss when we uncover the truth behind cases like this. Trust me, you're going to want to stick around for what comes next. So let's talk about what really happened that night. Hannah Cobb, 25 years old, was Telvin's girlfriend. They lived together with 2 of their children. The night before the shooting, they'd been out clubbing in Augusta until 2 in the morning, drinking, dancing. But something was brewing beneath the surface, something dark. When they got home, an argument erupted. Hannah confronted Telvin about another woman. You know how these things go. Accusations flying, voices getting louder. But this wasn't just a regular argument. This got physical. Ring camera footage later showed them fighting outside the house. Hannah telling Telvin to leave. And he did leave. He actually walked away. But then the text messages started coming through. One of them said, "You'd better hide." Let that sink in for a second. Your boyfriend, the man you share a home with, the father of your children, sends you a message telling you to hide. What's going through your mind at that moment? Fear? Anger? Both? Hannah was scared enough to lock him out of the house. She was scared enough to call his mother, trying to get her to calm him down. But here's what makes this whole thing even more twisted. When Telvin came back to that house, he wasn't empty-handed. Investigators later found an 8-inch knife exactly where Hannah said it would be. He had threatened her with it. She ran, locked herself in the bathroom, and in that bathroom, she grabbed her gun. Now, some reports say she was indicating she might harm herself. But when Telvin broke through that bathroom door, something happened. She turned. She fired. Once, the bullet hit him in the chest. Hannah immediately called 911 and told them it was an accident, that she was cleaning the gun. But was she really? Now here's where the sheriff steps in, and everything Hannah said starts falling apart. Sheriff Alfonso Williams held a press conference and made something crystal clear. He said, and I quote, "At no point during the investigation was there any information about a person cleaning a weapon." He wasn't buying the cleaning story. Not one bit. He emphasized that alcohol was involved, and this was not being ruled as an accidental shooting. Think about that for a moment. The woman says she was cleaning a gun at 5:45 in the morning after a night of drinking and clubbing. Does that sound right to you? When was the last time you came home drunk at dawn and thought, you know what, perfect time for gun maintenance? But let's put ourselves in Hannah's shoes for just a second. Your boyfriend comes back with a knife. He's broken into the bathroom where you've locked yourself. You have a gun. What do? Is it murder? Is it self-defense? Is it somewhere in the gray area that makes cases like this so difficult to understand? Hannah was arrested 2 days later on February 25th. She was charged with felony involuntary manslaughter.
And today, 25-year-old Hannah Cobb was arrested and charged with felony involuntary manslaughter. Authorities say she's the one who notified authorities about this shooting.
The bond was set at $25,000. She had to wear a monitoring device and surrender all her firearms. She couldn't leave the state. For a while, it looked like justice was moving forward. The family was waiting. The community was watching. Everyone wanted answers. But then April 24th rolled around, 2 months after Telvin died. The grand jury met to review the case. They looked at all the evidence, the ring footage, the 911 call, the knife, the text messages, Hannah's account, the physical evidence from the scene, everything, and they returned what's called a no bill. That means they decided not to file charges. None. The case was closed. The district attorney, Jared Williams, said, as the grand jury has spoken, the case is closed. Just like that, Hannah Cobb walked free. Now, you'd think that would be the end of the story, right? Grand jury makes a decision. Case closed. Everyone moves on. But this is where things get really messy. Because Telvin Osborne wasn't just any victim. His past came roaring back into the spotlight. It divided people in ways I've rarely seen in true crime cases. See, people started digging into Telvin's social media history, and what they found was disturbing. Back in 2012, Telvin had posted on Twitter, now called X, using the handle whitegirls_are_fun. Already you can see where this is going. He posted things like, white girls are way better than black girls. He used arrows, lots of them, to emphasize his point. But it got worse, much worse. Telvin had allegedly said he would rather sleep with a dog than a black woman. Read that again. A dog. He posted things like, if it ain't snowing, he ain't going, basically saying he only dated white women. He bragged that he would die for his white girlfriend. And here we are years later, and he's dead because of a white girlfriend. The irony isn't lost on anyone. His posts weren't just preferences. You know what I mean? We all have preferences. That's human nature. But Telvin went beyond that. He belittled black women's appearance. He dismissed their worth. He perpetuated harmful stereotypes. He made it clear that he saw black women, women who looked like his own mother, as beneath him, less than, undesirable. And his family? Turns out the apple didn't fall far from the tree. His brother also had posts making disparaging comments about black women. This wasn't just Telvin's individual viewpoint. This was learned behavior. Passed down. Reinforced. When Telvin died, his cousin Chantrell Lewis created a GoFundMe. The goal was $10,000 to help with Telvin and Hannah's 4 children. You know how much was raised? $430. From 12 donors. 12. Out of everyone who knew him, everyone who saw that fundraiser, only 12 people donated. And they couldn't even get to $500. The response on social media was brutal. People were saying things like, black women, mind your business when it comes to sympathy for Telvin Osborne. He hated you and left the proof. Others said, good riddance to both of them. One person compared him to Christian Bumsley, another black man who had insulted black women on social media before being killed by his white girlfriend Courtney Clennyback in 2022. The parallels were eerie. But here's what really got people angry. The justice system's response. Hannah wasn't arrested at the scene. It took 2 days. 2 whole days before she was taken into custody. And then, 2 months later, no charges at all. People started asking the question that always comes up in cases like these. If the races were reversed, would the outcome be the same? If a black woman had shot her white boyfriend in the chest after a night of drinking and fighting, would she have been given 2 days before arrest? Would a grand jury have declined to press charges? Or would she have been handcuffed immediately, charged with murder, and facing decades in prison? Telvin's cousin posted online that Hannah's father was a cop, that she had connections. That's why she wasn't charged. Now, I searched for confirmation of this, and I couldn't find any official reports backing that up. It might be speculation. It might be misinformation born from frustration and grief. But the fact that people believed it so readily tells you something about the trust, or lack thereof, in the system. The Burke County Sheriff's Office saw the anger building in the community. After the grand jury decision, they issued a warning. They recognized the outcome might be upsetting or unpopular to some, and they urged everyone to refrain from actions that could further harm the community. They were basically telling people, don't riot, don't protest, don't cause trouble. Just accept this decision and move on. But how do you move on from something like this? How do you accept it when everything feels wrong? When the story keeps changing? When a man is dead and nobody is held accountable? Let's go back to the evidence for a second. The Ring cameras show the argument. It showed Telvin leaving. That's documented. The text message, "You better hide," exists. That's documented. The 8-inch knife was found exactly where Hannah said it would be. That's documented. Telvin broke into the bathroom. That's what Hannah claims. And the grand jury apparently believed her. So maybe this really was self-defense. Maybe Hannah genuinely feared for her life when that door came crashing down. Maybe in that split second, with a knife-wielding man coming at her, she made the only choice she thought she had: pull the trigger or die. But then why lie about cleaning the gun? Why change the story? If it was legitimate self-defense from the start, why not say that immediately? He came at me with a knife. I was terrified. I shot him to protect myself. Instead, we got this gun-cleaning story that the sheriff himself said never happened. And that's what makes people suspicious. That's what makes people think maybe she got special treatment. Maybe because she was white. Maybe because of connections. Maybe because the victim was a black man who publicly hated black women. And some people thought, consciously or unconsciously, that his life mattered less because of it. At the center of all this controversy, all this anger and division, is Telvin's mother, a woman who lost her son. Whatever he posted on social media, whatever his views were, he was still her child. She still grieves him. She still wakes up every day knowing he's gone. And that pain is real. That pain is valid. But the community's pain is valid too. Black women who saw his posts and felt degraded, dehumanized, dismissed. They're asking why they should mourn a man who publicly stated he'd rather be intimate with an animal than with someone who looks like them. Why should they rally for justice when he clearly had no respect for them when he was alive? This case isn't just about what happened in that house on February 23rd. It's about so much more. It's about how we value black lives. It's about how we view domestic violence. It's about self-defense laws and who gets to claim them successfully. It's about internalized racism and misogynoir. So let me ask you some questions. Questions that don't have easy answers. Questions you need to sit with. If Telvin Osborne had respected black women, would the response to his death have been different? Does someone's problematic past mean they deserve less justice when they're killed? Can we hold both truths at once? That his mother's grief is real, and that his victims of verbal abuse don't owe him sympathy? When does self-defense become murder, and who gets to make that call? Does the justice system apply equally regardless of race? Or are we still living in a world where white defendants get more benefit of the doubt than black victims get consideration? Here's what I want you to do. Go down to the comments right now and tell me what you think. Was this self-defense, or did Hannah Cobb get away with murder? Should Telvin's social media history matter in how we view this case? And do you believe the outcome would have been the same if the races were reversed? I want to hear from you. Every perspective, every opinion. Because cases like this, we need to talk about them. We need to wrestle with the uncomfortable questions. If this video made you think, if it challenged you, if it opened your eyes to something you hadn't considered before, smash that like button. Share this with your friends, your family, anyone who needs to understand how complex true crime really is. Subscribe to My Story Crime, because we're not afraid to dive deep into the cases that make people uncomfortable, the ones that don't have neat, tidy endings. And hit that bell icon so you're notified every time we drop a new video breaking down the cases everyone's talking about. Justice is complicated. Truth is messy. And sometimes the system fails everyone involved. This is My Story Crime, and I'll see you in the next one.